Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just before we start, welcome everyone. I'm Emma Pateman. I'm the project manager of the Design Challenge, and I work at the events team here at the IMechE. Just before we start, I just wanted a quick note just to let everyone know that this webinar is being recorded. So if anyone doesn't want to appear on the recording, please make sure you've got your camera and microphone switched off. Otherwise, hope you all enjoy the session, and I'll hand over to Davide.
Right, thank you very much for coming today. Good morning, everybody. I've been recently elected the chair of the Design Challenge, and I understood that there is a lot of interest from a lot of universities that may not really have attended in the previous seasons to understand how they could really make the students get back home with a positive feedback from the staff. We don't have a full recipe and a magic wand, and there is no recipe that will work for everybody. So one of the purpose of the chat today will be, again, to thank you for your time and try to discuss what we believe is the core aim of the Design Challenge, and try to gauge from you how we could introduce or help you to come and join us as soon as possible with this adventure. So just a brief introduction, and there is a number of us, so I'm happy for you if you want to go around the table, or if instead we just write in the chat who we are and what we do. My name is Davide Migliorini. I currently work for Evolito, where we make electric motors, controllers, and batteries for airplanes, general aviation, and heavy tools. I'm in charge of all the mechanical design function in the main headquarters. I've been around in racing environment for the beginning of my career for about 12 years, and then after that I moved in passenger car engineering, design, development, testing, and then electric motors for passenger cars and aerospace now. I've been working with the IMechE on the Design Challenge for a little bit more than 2.5 years, I believe now. Yeah, 2.5 years, something like that, before being part of the steering committee and one of the judges. And then since a couple of months ago, I've been elected the chair, which I hope I will be to the spec of all the previous predecessors. The chair, in theory, should be a role that stays in place for a couple of years, and then we'll move on somebody else that had the willingness to take it on for the next time. Over this time where I was doing the judging, I tried to be in contact with the students in the university and try to gauge their feedback, but I gauge only the feedback of the people that attended. So it's great for me to have all of you now, hoping that all of you will be with us in the next season. At very, very high level, before I hand over to another member of the IMechE, the aim for the Design Challenge is to try to ask the students from the very beginning of their career to think outside the single task, the single lecture, the single exam they need to do on that subject. So really to push them to think about a cross-functional activity, where a design activity may require some project management, may require a building phase behind it, some tests, some development, and kind of guide them to deliver a representation of a realistic project in the industry. So the main idea is to say, right, to be successful when you propose a project within a company or from a company to a customer, this would be the minimum requirement you will face. The vehicle to do that is the device. So every year we try to have a different device that need to be engineered directly by the students. So that is the aim. Now, historically, the scoring was, or at the beginning, the scoring was only on the performance of the vehicle. A number of things have happened over time and steered us in the direction where we are now. The big one was COVID, where most of the competition has been done remotely. So all the activity by the student was done on a virtual project, so they had to present something remotely and do the other activity. That was as well a great learning, and it led to the phase where we are now, so where we are trying to be more responsible with our resources. So trying to get the student to spend a little bit more onto the design phase and a little bit less in building stuff, and then restart rebuilding stuff, and not using at the optimum their time and their physical resources, is a mindset that we are trying to encourage to reduce the waste and the other stuff. Now, we all know that the students will build a number of parts and will use a number of consumables as a part of the project, and that's absolutely fine. But the message that we are trying to give is, ideally, spend the time in minimizing the risk, spending time in focusing on the unknown, and focus your test and development on what you could not design out. So I hope that I gave you in these 3 or 4 minutes the introduction of what we are aiming to do and what is our purpose. And then I would like to understand from the IMechE if they want to talk about the practical consideration for taking part in the challenge next year, or if they want me to do that one. So please, Emma or Anna, let me know if you want to take any part of this, or if you are happy for me to carry on.
I'm happy for you to carry on, Davide.
Fantastic then. So again, this is not set in stone yet, and we would like to have your feedback to understand your position. By talking to a number of the university representatives, we understood that the mechanical design and design engineering courses are structured differently with different types between the different universities. So one of the things that we identified as a potential roadblocker for some student or some university was the deadline for submission of the teams. So in the previous years, there was in the regulation a statement that the team need to be submitted by December, and the IMechE was releasing the technical regulation by October. So there is very little time for university to understand what the competition is about, and then a very, very early commitment. So by December, you need to cast in stone your vote to say, I'm going to be there. But the regional will happen only in, call it, March, April, May the following year. So there was a big gap that doesn't fit with the sum of the engineering courses, and it doesn't fit in the development of some of the students. Plus, it may really dilute the momentum and the interest that the student would have. So for the following year, we are stretching, and I'm declaring, I put myself on the front page here. We are aiming to release the full set of the regulation and the documentation before the end of July, so that it would be available within the summer break if anybody wants to read it, but it will certainly be available as soon as the university retake their course in September. So that is our bit of effort, and with some push for the IMechE, we will open the registration for teams from November to February of the following year, so that university that may be evaluating the attendance don't have to commit in December. They will have still the Christmas break, the January to come up, and fundamentally 2-3 weeks in February to still really build up that momentum. And they will have a relatively short time between saying, right, I'm going to attend, develop the product, develop all the elements of the competition, and get the student ready to have that energy, but not to be diluted for a long time. Another thing that we tried to is try to learn from other competition that the IMechE is doing. So the IMechE does a Formula Student, does the UAS challenge, which is fundamentally self-driving drones in different forms. They could be fixed wing or vertical takeoff. And there is as well the relay challenge. So by understanding what we think or believe is good of those competitions, knowing that they are more for last year students or postgraduate kind of activities, we try to mimic what they are trying to do to be successful. One of the things that I would like to discuss with you to see if it makes sense, we opened to fundamentally any team for any category. So the entry-level category, the simplest one, will be limited to up to the first-year student, but it will open now as well to technical colleges or any other, scientific university or school that could feel happy to give it a go. And then the more, I can say, complex category would be open to anybody up to effectively the last year of university. So PhD studies or whatever, as you can imagine, will not be included in that one. The idea would be to potentially grab some new and fresh ideas for all these vehicles from students that may have been put off by the regulation before, and at the same time somehow offer the university a vehicle to use the design challenge if needed, if they want to, as a continuation between the years from the students. So if somebody starts to do something the first year, they could be part of the team for the more complicated vehicle, delivering some small tasks. So you don't have anymore to have a team that is made by student of a specific year if you don't want to. So there will be effectively a little leeway for university to create a proper cross-functional and cross-years team. This structure is one of the big changes that the UAS challenge has put in place, and the university that are approaching that way said that is great for the morale and the entertainment of the student, and great for the inclusion, and as well feeling that continuity between the years. That are, a couple of bits in my introduction. We'll keep it short. This is recorded so that then we have a time for question and answers at the end. Regional finals. We would like, if it's a competition somehow awarded or listed or organized by the IMechE, we would like all the finals, all the regional, to be done in a consistent way. So with a similar format, so that whenever an attendee win a regional, we know that all of them have been scrutinized and they passed the contest in the same way, so that they will achieve the final on a fair and even level, so that we'll all compete against each other in a different condition. So from the next year, we'll try to be a little bit more specific on how we kindly ask the regional events to be run, so that we know that all the teams have passed to the same, a similar level of hurdle, fundamentally. Again, understanding that different universities have different timing, we opened up the window for all these regional to take place to be a little bit wider than the previous years. One of the things that I would encourage you is that the final for this year is not a closed door event. So if you could please send a couple of representatives for your universities or from the regions or whatever, please get in contact with the IMechE. I'm sure they will be absolutely delighted to get for you in October, when we are going to do our final and show you how it takes place. As you may imagine, the vehicle for this year is different from the vehicle that will run next year. The vehicle of this year is running against gravity, so it has posed a number of challenges to students. So the vehicle needs to work against gravity and against an increasing load. Normally is a tougher vehicle to be done. Not resembling a car or not resembling something that does a scenographic approach or anything like that. It is as well one of the vehicles that appeal slightly less to students, but from a technical perspective is very, very challenging and is quite an interesting one. So I would encourage you to come around at the finals and see which physical struggle the prototype may have when it's time to do the run. From my side, I tried to use only 14 minutes of the beginning of the meeting, and leave all the rest of the time to you for question and answer. So please start to fire and use please the chat that we have in this meeting, so that we could gather the questions, and if we don't have time to answer them right now, we'll certainly come out with a formal answer to you in the future. One of the aim of this activity today is that the IMechE is recording this, and this recording will be made available to either you to review or anybody in your university or in other university that have already taken place previously, or they want to take place, or they want to do this. Right. So we already have a message from Emma about the location and the date for the final. So please, could any of you ask us how we could do better to help you in doing a regional final or attending the national, or however you want to do? Yes, Emma has asked a question. I cannot answer this one here because it's about Scottish institutions. So for me, the more people that we have in, the better it is. We just put a threshold on the simple vehicle on the first year because we thought that older students will have a technical advantage that would be unfair for younger students, if you don't mind.
May I speak?
Hello, hi. Yes, absolutely. Oh, sorry, is Emma? I do apologize. There is another Emma. Hi, Emma. Yes, absolutely. So for 2024, the plan is we are going to have fundamentally 3 categories mimicking what is in the Formula Student. One will be concept only. I will explain you a little bit later why we introduced the concept only. Then there will be, let's call it the basic category, where there is no non-programmable electronic device allowed, and the budget is smaller. So fundamentally, it's an analog type of circuit, analog mechanic device. And then there will be the top level where people could program, do the bits and bobs, and still kept within a budget. So a number of things we've changed over time. Going from the top one, the last time the vehicle was with a budget of £50, so the top level budget. We will increase the budget to £80, understanding that everything went up in price. So the £50 may have been too much of a stretch over that activity. So that is one of the things. On the basic one, we'll increase from £30 to £40 the budget, which again, we have seen a lot of teams really finding a couple of years ago now, finding the edge of the £28, £29. So we thought the budget limit would have been too tight. For the top level competition, so let's say the full STEAM one, that will be open to everybody up to the, call it, last year of university. So if you find a team from the first year that is brave enough to give it a go, even if the university is not covering all the subject like programming device and whatever, if there is a team of enthusiasts that already do that in the spare time, why not? We got some, in the COVID days, we got some colleges from areas that had to find some way to fill the gaps and fill the time. They came up with vehicles that were quite good. We know that they use a team that was bigger than what it was indicated for university. So we know that the team was about 12 students rather than call it 5 or 6, which is what we suggest to have. But at the same time, they were much younger in their career than some university students. So yes, I will be happy to have everybody from any region that attend, so that we really show that is for the students. Antigoni?
Yes. Hello, David. Thank you for the introductions. I have a quick question on what you're saying now. Just to clarify, maybe it's my misunderstanding, but we're running this at the University of Portsmouth for year 1 students. So I want to know if this will, as you say, will be open for more advanced students, or it will remain year 1 for the university. Can you clarify once again? Maybe I didn't catch that, or I just want to have it clear.
Yes, I do apologize. I kind of forgotten that I need to finish the answer to Emma, and your question is linked to that one. So we are going to have a three categories. One is concept, where there is no physical prototype to be done. Every other element, so you need to do the design, you need to present your project, present a bill of material, structure the CAD, do a presentation of the device, calculate which performance is exactly the same as the other categories. But the student will not have to build the device. Reason is that we would like to see if any university has limitation on access to labs, limitation of set aside budget for buying devices, for allowing time for some, the lab technicians, health and safety staff, or anything like that. Is similar to the Formula Student, where you could present the full design of your vehicle without having a physical vehicle over there. That would be limited to college student and the university student up to year 1, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Then what was originally called the year 1 challenge is now open to college students and year 1 university student. It will be fundamentally as the concept, but the team need to provide the physical device. So there will be the physical element of the competition where they need to have a device that they have built, and we will test it under the mission. Again, that will be open to colleges and up to year 1 university students.
So the difference between this one and the one you said at the beginning is just the manufacturing aspect.
Correct.
But it's open to the same people.
It's open to the same people. And then instead of limiting to year 2 student, effectively the top competition, that will be open to everybody. If you have a very, very brave group of team in year 1 and they're really keen to give it a go, why not? They know that they will compete possibly against year 3 students. If they are up for the challenge, I'm really happy to help them.
Okay, I understand. And when we submit a team, do we have to specify for which one we're going?
Ideally, that would be great. But the IMechE has had flexibility on this. So now I'm going to have a little bit of possibly Emma and Anna will not be happy, but providing that the week before the submission, we know which team is going to submit all the documentation in which category, that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
So I'm not at all prescriptive or limiting on all the other things. Did I answer your question? Because I've seen, I've happily seen a number of hands coming up on the screen now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I will mute myself. If anything, I will ask again.
Please ask as many questions. Is great. This one here, Emma. Now I think that you are in the queue.
Thank you, David. I just wanted to, I suppose, ask or confirm on my question. So the Scottish education system has a 5-year master's programme relative to the English system, for example, which is a 4-year. So our first year tends to be a slightly different level, which was where my question came from, because we will sometimes take English students into second year direct entry. So I wondered whether there was any consideration given to that and whether the Scottish students would be able to come in until the end of year 2. I know there's been a push to get the design challenge into Scotland, and I wondered if that might be something that would help.
Oh, that's a very valid point. I think that it would be great for all the attendees coming from the Scotland region that we set aside a separate channel of communication with the IMechE. Personally, as you know, or you may gauge from my accent, I'm not English born. I did a university in Italy at Politecnico di Torino, where back in my days, there was no 3-year kind of degree. There was only the 5-year degree. But on top of that one, our high school education was letting you out at 19 years old. So there is effectively 1 year more and 1 year more over there. I'm not entirely sure how we could align the Scotland education system to the, call it the English education system, but I'm sure that we could put in place a mechanism where we say, right, for the Scottish region, we consider equivalent year 2 student to year 1 of the other region. We just need to write this in a nice and clear English so that nobody will complain about that one. But absolutely, that's a great point, and I was absolutely unaware of it. So thank you for mentioning it. Did I answer your question now?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you so much.
I think that now we have Will that was raised the hand, I believe.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Hi Davide. It's been a long time to saw you. My question on this is, I guess it's more of a comment, which is more, it's great to try and expand the competition to the colleges and the technical colleges, but what what are we thinking about upper limits of numbers of teams? Is anyone, thought through to the running of a competition? Because obviously one university has to host the competition in a regional final. So at what stage do you start doing 2 days worth of competition rather than just being 1 day? Or, is there an upper limit, or is it just at the moment, let's just try and get as many people in as possible?
Great point. At the moment, I wish from next year we'll have this dilemma where we need to start to think about 2 days. At the moment, we never got into a hurdle where we cannot run the competition within a single day. The format of the competition of pre-submitting the entry part, the fundamental part to enter the physical competition in electronic format will help us not to spend too much time on the day to check the electronic submission, and the focus mainly on the execution of the competition on the final stage there. Some universities, and I'm open on this with you, some universities don't like the students not to present to the presentation live during the day. Personally, what I've seen, what I witnessed in the 2.5 years I've been doing this, is that the teams that really spend their time in creating and recording a presentation and do a good product there are the teams that practice the presentation skills with people that are filming them, with the assembly, the post-production of the filming and everything like that. So we kind of enforce more students to do a good competition by submitting a video recording rather than doing that. At the same time, by limiting only to the top 3, we limit only the time during the day to the top 3 of the presentation, top 3 of the poster submission, and top 3 of the design submission. So there should be plenty of time to get a lot of people running for the regional. If we find out that there is a massive enthusiasm over there, I will be incredibly happy, and we will try to work out on region by region cases if that still need to be hosted on 1 day only, or on instead of more than 1 day, or if we could take out other element of the day to make the competition run and not finish at 8 p.m. So yeah, please.
Just to add to that, there have been instances in the past with the Greater London region where they have had to run the competition across 2 days. So it has happened in the past, and how they've worked it is they've separated the categories. So they ran the competition for the year 1 teams on 1 day, and then the year 2 teams on the next day. So it's definitely something we could deal with, as Davide says, on a region by region basis, and it has happened before, and we can definitely work around it. So yeah, that's how they've dealt with that problem in the past.
That would be a great problem to have. So I would be happy to spend the 2 days rather than 1. Kelvin, I think that you are with your hands on since a number of minutes. Apologies, we have been through other stuff.
No worries, that's absolutely fine. We've wanted to run this competition down in Swansea in UWDSD. One of the barriers to us doing that has been the timing. Basically, the IMechE is the timing not aligning with our timing. So it's really nice to hear that you're sensitive to that and open to change. I just want to get my head round the clarification of that. You talked about the regional finals, which will be probably for our guys and a level 4 end of the year. The national finals then would be the following year, would they? So in the October 24, is that still the plan? Because this year you're talking about October. That's for last year's competition, is it?
Correct.
Right.
So
okay.
The national competition fundamentally happened at the beginning of the following academic year.
Right. Okay. So actually, the students would be in level 5 at that point, but they're essentially they're the level 4 students. Yeah. Fine. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah. The thing is that we have the summer break in the middle, and there are a lot of exams as well in the summer season. So it would have been unfair either to do it this side of the summer because you know that will not really get any attention or any traction from any student or university, or immediately after the start of university for the same reason. So the student need to settle in, start with their activities, plan all the stuff. So September is too early for that, we believe. So October has always been statistically a month that was working quite nicely, understanding that is fundamentally on the following academic year.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That, you know, that gives us the flexibility in terms of delivering the competition at level 4 this year, and then potentially, you know, thinking about the finals, the national finals next year, so October next year. That's fine. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Ross?
Hi there. I was just wanting to check whether you have any sense of, are most universities running this as part of the curriculum, or is it sometimes being run as an extracurricular thing?
Yes. So there are, as you can imagine, there are a number of universities that run it as a part of the curricula. There is a minority of teams that is run as extracurricular activity. So we had an example of one of the universities that were historically sparing the Wednesday afternoon as a free from lectures or all the other stuff, so that the students could either attend additional labs or sport events or anything that was there. It was for the Wednesday. And they were running with a number of volunteers, with one of the lecturers leading the team. They were running Wednesdays, kind of cross-functional team activity to build up their extracurricular activity. How we read the regulation, how we start the design, what the competition is about, and they were doing that way. We understand that the students are doing a lot at university, and taking away some spare time to run as extracurricular activity is a stretch. The teams that we have seen really succeeding are the teams that, please forgive me, but they have the competitive mindset. So you during the day hours, you will run that as a part of the job, and the one that really want to win, they will spend the evenings, Saturday, Sundays, WhatsApp chat, whatever you want to put there to really get their little team to really outperform the others. So we appreciate that if you get the right number of people together, they will push each other to do something more. I have a comment from Anna here saying that I believe that Antigoni runs it as extracurricular. Am I right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. I think us, University of Portsmouth and Southampton, we run it as an extracurricular activity.
Okay, and sorry, just while I'm asking, just to clarify, it's pretty much the same brief, but there are 2 levels. There's a level which is kind of a theoretical design proposal for younger students or earlier year students, and then there's a more advanced which includes a build, and this can go all the way up to the end of university, because Kelvin was talking about level 4, which I assume in the English system is your final year.
No, level 4 is first year.
Ah, all right.
Yes.
Okay, so that is, we need, I think that we really need to have, I'm absolutely happy to add the specification, you know, like a, I can say almost an inclusion table to say, right, this is how the different, you know, teaching system and the student system will compete in. So the idea will have effectively a first up to, so college and up to first year for England, second year for Scotland students of university that will compete on a simpler task. If I'm getting it right, I do apologize, I'm not really clear, so I may make a mistake over here. And then open to anybody, understanding that the national competition will happen after those students have finished. Open to anybody for the other one. So it means that if you find a very, you know, committed year 1 or first year university student, that group that want to do the big one, happy to have them in. So we'll not fence anymore. Year 1, they can't go over there. If they feel brave, let's get them in. Did I answer your question, Ross?
I think so, but I think it'll all become much clearer how I deal with it once the technical details are published, and then we can look to how we fit it in over the summer.
There is a message here with Kevin. Yes, I think that we need really to have, at least from our perspective, an alignment between what would be the task and the skills and the activities done by students in the Scottish educational system compared to the other ones, so that we clearly clarify these in a better way. If you don't mind, Will, as the hand raised since.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer Ross's initial question. So this current year, I've run the team as a extracurricular team that went to competition, but it's part of my curriculum for design. And that's just because of the timeline. So I was teaching them with that project in mind. It was the project they all did, and we had a competition internally the last day of term on 9th of June. But I asked anyone who was keen, if they wanted to get involved in the competition, they could do it extracurricular, and they ended up getting it incorporated into the Wessex region whilst we set up the Welsh region of the competition. It kind of worked okay, but it wasn't brilliant. It was a lot of hard work for the students because they had very little time to do it. And so when we finally get the Welsh region set up, hopefully for the next one, we'll have our dates aligned a bit better. But it did work. It just required the students to work their socks off. That's all I wanted to say on that, really. Just just add in it does work.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of, I've got a project which could potentially be a little bit like the design challenge, and that's why I'm keen to get the technical specification, and that actually would be semester one, winter time, that they would do this, and then they might be able to apply for the competition, or we selectively pick people to go forward. But we may do it extracurricular completely. I'm not sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Antigoni has the hand up.
Yeah, I just want to again stress out what on the comment I think Kelvin mentioned. The way that we have run this as extracurricular as well, it was the same brief we had with the people that they were running this within the module. So there was no distinguish between the technical requirements being in the curriculum or outside of the curriculum. So last year, for example, we in the regional competition, we were both cases having it in a module and outside, and we were both having exactly the same brief. So there was no differentiation between that. I'm not sure if that's the plan for next year, but for now, that was the case.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Is there any other question about what we discussed today, or is there any other suggestion or recommendation that may fit better in your timing for your universities? One of the things that I gauge is that, again, I was absolutely not aware, you may imagine why, about the differences in the calendars and the run of the university. We need to ensure that include these in the specification. I'm aiming to send out a specification with the IMechE as a formal between before the end of July, hopefully earlier than that one. Could we please, could I please ask some of you from the Scottish region to send us a proposal of how you think there is a parallel between university levels in England, and I believe at this point as well Wales, and university years and content or curriculum in the other one, so that we could add that as an appendix in the specification. The other option would be that if we can't find a formal agreement, we consider what we discuss here as valid, will issue initially the regulation without this item here, and will then amend them by adding an appendix with the equivalence of different schools, institutions, and levels for the competition. So we'll add this as an appendix so that we don't defeat or impact too much the main body of the regulations. Anna is asking if there is any cross-learning from Howard with we can learn from. Howard, please.
Hello, yeah, hi everybody. I'm Howard Ash, the faculty advisor at the University of Hertfordshire for our team's Formula Student team. So I was involved with Formula Student as an undergraduate myself many moons ago, back when it first started in 1998. Just in terms of experiences and things like that we can benefit from, I appreciate different institutions are going to be able to integrate the design challenge in different places. One of the things that we always found with Formula Student is that it's always a really steep learning curve. And so we do offer things like voluntary seminars. And so the good news is they're not all just run by myself. And so I tend to kick those off at the start of the year, but then we try and get team members involved with that as well to help try and present, to try and pass on the knowledge. Because at the end of the day, I think one of the most difficult things to get right is the knowledge transfer. It's really difficult. You know, the students go on this journey, they learn an awful lot, and then, you know, next year it's like, oh, fresh cohort, and, you know, it's back to zero again. So for me, it's trying to get that knowledge transfer and how do we embed that in there. And so I appreciate different institutions going to be able to run it differently. We certainly use some of the knowledge in some of the taught modules, but at the same time, though, we do this idea of voluntary seminars where we try and pass on some of that knowledge. And I think, appreciate with Design Challenge, you're going to be doing different things each year. I think it's important to convey the message about being able to actually manage the project, because it's not just, you know, doing some design work, it's not just doing some FEA and this kind of thing. It's trying to work together well as a team. And don't get me wrong, we don't always do that very well, but I think there's a lot of common mistakes that teams do make. So being able to hear that firsthand from students who've done the project beforehand, I think is really beneficial. So I think that's one of the things I want to mention there. And I think also just learning from each other, just trying to, you know, I mean, in Formula Student, you can appreciate that we're going more towards electric vehicles and just the challenges there that we have to, you know, try and conquer are rather difficult. And so our knowledge of PCBs has, you know, improved exponentially. And, you know, so there's always a very wide range of skills that's going to be required. And so quite often we'll try and look outside of just our, you know, people in our school. And so sometimes it might be that we try and, you know, have other people from elsewhere in the university try and help out. So, yeah, certainly with Formula Student, there's no limits as to, you know, who gets involved so long as they are a student there as well. So that might be some other ideas as well, just to think about. So, yeah, my comments on it.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you very much for your comment. I think that you're kind of echoing what we got to chat about with one of your colleagues from a different university. What was last week? Fundamentally, they were saying that regardless if it is part of the curriculum or an extracurricular activity, the university need to put aside a number of resources, if it at least is only mentoring, to really engage with the student, share with the student the value that these add to their experience and to their development, and really be available for the students for questions, answer, internal webinars, extra hours, and anything. When we had some comments by somebody who was approaching the regulation with a target, and my view has been, I do apologize if this may feel a little bit strong, but having been for a number of years in racing, my view has been that if you want to go to a competition, and the design challenge like the Formula Student is a competition, you need to be prepared to do extra hours on what you like. Nobody will go to play football at school like 1 hour during school days and then pretend that they be signed up to Chelsea or Aston Villa or whatever. That is exactly the same concept. So the student need to understand that if they want to compete, we are happy to help them, but it's a competition. So all the others will put in extra hours, extra time, extra activity to become better.
Just an interesting comment on that, actually. So with Formula Student at my institution, it's very much a voluntary thing, and I don't really try and promote it that much in the sense that, oh yeah, you must all do Formula Student. I really try and tell them exactly the expectations, because you're absolutely right. I mean, the number of hours is going to be above probably what they were ever thinking. And so, to be honest, I think so long as students come with the right attitude, they've got the dedication, they're motivated and they want to do it, great, we can work with that. If it's just something you want to put on the CV, it just doesn't work. We do get a lot of that. And in fact, I introduced a 0 credit module, which is pass or fail. And that reflects the level of effort that students have actually put in, because it's sometimes easy for people to say, oh yeah, I've been involved in this project, and they just haven't engaged with it. And so I'm very mindful of that. So that's a mechanism that we've put in place to recognise the extra work that does go into some of these projects. And you're touching on about the institution facilitating projects as well. Very much the role of, I guess, the academic involved. And I just guess with health and safety, that's obviously really important. And I always try and get the buy-in of the students. We have them try and help prepare risk assessments as well, so that they understand, some of the risks and things like that involved, because that's always a concern when we're doing practical projects. Just making sure that they understand what the risks and the hazards are there. But the way to view it is just that this is all there to help facilitate the activities that we want to do. So, yeah.
One of the other things that, again, I think that we as a steering committee, we are not really being successful, is that we always declare that we are happy to answer email question coming from any university or any team that have a specific question. But for a reason or another, we never really received a lot of questions. And then when it's time to the final regional mainly, there were a lot of open points, and the student didn't know who they could ask to. So please veiculate the message whenever your team is competing. If there is anything that appears obscure or feels to be clarified, please fire back earlier rather than later the query, and Emma and Anna and I, with all the steering committee, will try to jump on it within a reasonable time and come back with a set of answers to the team. Now, leaving those questions to the last hour before the submission is an indication that the team has not done enough legwork to prepare for the event. So we are open and happy to always feedback and support. I think that we have a Kelvin, and then we have Anna from the IMechE.
Great. Okay, thank you. Is this open to full-time and part-time students and degree apprenticeship students, or is it just full-time? Where are we with that in terms of mode of attendance? Any, right, perfect. Good answer.
So
I like it.
The thing is that we don't want to, we need, I just seen a table there. If you don't mind, after this activity, I will have to go back to my main work, as all of you. I will look into this table, and I will try to look into that one to put a level with the IMechE. And then before we add that to the regulation, I would like to review it with all of you. So we'll try to send out informal email. Say, right, this is how we propose to split or to organize. Did we capture correctly your indication? And hopefully within a number of small alignment we'll achieve a common ground. If you have a part-time student from college that is doing a night shift, and there are 4 of them, is a formal educational system. They feel brave enough to attend the top level competition. Let's get them in. Is absolutely fine. We would like to do the opposite. So if you have a 4-year, or sorry, a final year or second last year or third year student of university, we don't want them to compete in the low level competition, because they may smash it. So we want to promote everybody that feel brave to push for the high, but put as well a cap and say, right, you are now old enough to get on the next module rather than stay on the basic one. If you don't mind, that will be the only limitation. We have, I think that I can't see the hands up. I think that there is Emma asking for, sorry, Anna.
Yes, sorry, I'm having some camera difficulties here. Just to kind of reiterate what Davide said at the beginning and some of what Howard referenced to as well, we've taken note that kind of the central communication and central points in order for us to have consistency across the regions needed some work. So we've looked at the models of what they do on UAS, AAC and Formula Student and Railway, and they run a series of centralized webinars throughout the year where students and faculty advisors have access to the judges and the steering committee about, you know, best practice for winning, kind of pitfalls, lessons learned. And we're planning with Davide and the steering committee to put some of those in place next year. So there's some touch points throughout the year centrally for students to have access to the judges in a formal setting. But as Davide said, throughout the year as well, we do encourage people to reach out because we want to be a support function from that side.
Will?
Hi. Yeah. I guess my sort of final question is, what do me and, you know, Kelvin and the rest of the people in Wales, what do we need to do now to formally start our own region? What's the next step?
Well, what you just mentioned is great. So that you're all, you know, you're all on board. You're all really positive to start the region. Again, I'm aiming to send you out I'm aiming with IMechE, with the steering committee, to send you out a released version of the regulation and the vehicle during July. We make a note that you are happy to start your own region, understanding that the regulation will give a window for the regional that will be March to June. My suggestion, but I cannot, that is beyond my ownership. My suggestion between you, university in Wales, try to understand which university could be better suited to host the regional. Understand what would be the location, the devices, the material that you may want to share, and possibly start to share stuff between university. The IMechE has already sent out the communication that for next year we went to the repeatable vehicle. So it's a relatively known device. There will be no major change to the regulation. The regulation will change in terms of trying to make it more understandable and with less repetition that were potentially conflicting. But at high level, the vehicle will be still within 400 by 400 by 400 millimeter envelope to run on a horizontal flat and effectively bounce off a physical barrier. Level 1, one target, so you go and you come back on the same point. Level 2, you go, you come back on the starting point, and then you move forward to the second point and you stop there. So at high level, you could use that as idea to try to understand, oh, I don't know, maybe this university could make the gauge a 400 by 400 millimeter perspex cutout box that all university will use because we're running all our internal elimination on different days. That university may do the hosting, and the other university may say, right, I set aside a budget for like coffee and biscuits for the catering on that event so that you share, or however you want to cooperate. It would be certainly a great example for you to come forward with the region that previously didn't exist. So I'm talking about Wales and as well Scotland. So anything that you will do to say, right, we as university managed to set this up and get a number of teams in and do our regional within number, it will be a great stimulus for all the other regions that are historically there, and it may stimulate them to even improve on their basis. So a positive feedback on everybody. We have Anna asking a question.
Hi, it was more just to say, Will, in terms of, obviously Davide's given you an overview of how it works competition-wise. Emma and I can reach out to you and the interested parties in Wales separately offline, and we can just run through some of the background logistics that David Davide alluded to in terms of hosting, what's covered, kind of the practicality. So Emma and I can send you over what works well in the other regions, so you've got a framework. We've already been in touch as well with the regional chairs for both areas in Wales and in Scotland to have an involvement at another IMechE level as well, because we really want to provide you with as much support to setting up regional finals as possible. So we will more than happily support that process.
Grand. Thank you.
So I'm conscious of time, and I'm really appreciated the time that you spared today to chat with us. If there is any other question, please fire. Doing something that, again, Anne and Emma may tell me offline. We would like to anticipate something to you. So for the 2025 Design Challenge, we want to introduce a new vehicle. So the format of decision of the new vehicle will be that we'll try to send out, again, before Christmas time, so that we have plenty of time to scope out the vehicle. A very simple questionnaire for students, university members, college members to propose their device that need to be within the capability. So say level 1, analog device with no programmable electronic, and level 2 programmable electronic within a decent budget, so that we don't break the bank of any student or institution or agency or instruction university that may have to do that. So one of the things that we will try to do before the autumn will be to send out a questionnaire and try to reach out as many people as possible, so that we could gauge new ideas and eventually score them as a part of the steering committee, and get you to have a visibility on how we want to interact even more with university and with students. So if that helps you in try to get momentum on getting your university or other student groups on board with these activities, then you have an insight on what the future will look like. All right, I don't see anybody having other questions. Please, if by going home and having your nice weekend, next week you come back with any other thought or any other idea or any other question, please don't be shy. Just fire up something to us. We'll try to come back to you and answer as quickly as possible. Something that has not been discussed today doesn't mean that we don't want to cover it or we are against it. It's just that we didn't thought about it. So, for example, for me, it was great to understand about the different level or a different, the different organization of the timeline for different regions for university. I was absolutely unaware of that one, and we need to address the concern and clarify that we're all happy with that, so that we don't try to put any student or team feeling that they are in a disadvantageous position compared to other one. I'm sure that we'll find out a good mechanism that will work for everybody. It's just a matter of trying to have a little bit of an alignment, and we'll close that one. Anything else that may come out as a result of this call, please again come back to us, and we'll be really delighted to understand what the question is about and try to come back to you.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining, and yeah, if you do have any questions, just let us know.
Great, thanks all. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Speak soon. Cheers. Bye bye.
Thanks. Now, bye.